Thanks a lot for inviting me. Hello, good evening, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy to be here and share some work we're doing. And thanks a lot, David, for coming up with this wonderful name, EIFL Power.
Right.
EIFL stands for Electronic Information for Libraries, and we were set up over 20 years ago. And at the time, that name made sense. Now it's a little bit limiting. So sometimes we use full names, sometimes we just use EIFL. And we work with libraries in the Global South to enable access to knowledge for education, learning, research, and sustainable community development. And we started as a program within Soros Foundation Network, which was called Open Society Institute and now is called Open Society Foundations. We started in 1999 and we worked with libraries in Central and Eastern Europe to provide access to e-resources, especially in social science and humanities, because during Soviet Union times it was impossible to get access to current research in social science and humanities. So that was our major area. And when we started providing access to resources, we realized that the most natural way to do so is to build national library consortia, because we're also talking about countries where there were no consortia back then. And that proved to be a real good strategy, because by working with National Library Consortia, we can really reach out to many more people, and we could have sustainable structures in the countries. And we mainly work with academic libraries, but especially back then when we started, but now we also have national libraries and public libraries and special libraries as consortium members. Access to e-resources or e-licensing program was one of the very first programs, and we negotiated subscriptions on behalf of a number of countries, and that really helped to have reduced prices, and that worked well back at the time, and that still works well. In 2001, we started collaborations with Southern African countries. And in 2002, EIFL was one of the original signatories to the Budapest Open Access Declaration. So that's when we embraced open access activities, and that's a program that I manage. And also that year, we started working with West African countries. Nigeria was the first country in that region. In 2003, we spun off from Open Society Foundations, and we became a not-for-profit organization. So we're registered in the Netherlands, and we used to have an office in Rome, but now it's in Vilnius in Lithuania, and most of our staff work from home, and I live in Ukraine, so I'm joining from Kiev in Ukraine now. And also on that year, Open Access Program was established as a full-scale program. And in 2003, we started working with Southeast and East Asian countries, started in Cambodia, and then Laos and China. And in North African countries, we had projects in Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, and we're still collaborating with Sudan and some other countries in that region. And in 2004, we hosted the very first open access event. So it was in South Africa for Southern African countries, followed by an event in Ukraine. And I was working at Soros Foundation Network in Ukraine back then. And I was also happy to host one of the very first open access events. In 2005, copyright and libraries program was set up because we realized that when research becomes digital, there was a push for more restrictions, and we wanted to make sure that libraries and researchers could really benefit from interacting with digital information. So our copyright program advocates for user-friendly and library-friendly copyright laws. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Also in the same year, we started working with Middle East countries, and we're still working in Palestine. And the very first repository was launched in our network, and it was a repository at the University of Zimbabwe, and it's still up, and they have an open access policy. So that was one of very positive developments for us. And in 2008, we started working in East African countries. Kenya was the first one, and then we moved to other countries, and also in South Asian countries. For example, Nepal was the very first country in that region. Then we had a new program which is called Public Library Innovation Program, because we realized that public libraries in our partner countries were really lagging behind academic libraries, and we wanted to make sure that they have training and capacities to provide digital services to their users. And in 2013, we started collaborating with Oceania countries, Fiji and Maldives now. In 2017, we celebrated this milestone of 1,000 open access repositories in our partner countries. And now we have, we really stopped counting because we have many of them, but it's well over 1,000. And also in the same year, we celebrated 100 open access policies, institutional and national in our partner countries. And now this number is almost 200 policies. So that's also exciting. Another exciting development on that year was that we signed a collaboration agreement with the Department of Higher Education, the Ministry of Education in Myanmar, because around that time, Myanmar started opening up to the world. And it was and it's still exciting to be a part of digital transformation process. And what's really important for us that we could embed openness in the foundations of science and research development in Myanmar. And now we have this MARAL portal, Myanmar Education Research and Learning Portal, which is a national repository and a project of Myanmar Rectors Committee and Department of Higher Education. 44 universities collaborate, and we have support from National Institute of Informatics in Japan in running this national platform, and National Open Access Repository and openness to research results from Myanmar is part of national education policy plan for this decade, and it's also embedded in the forthcoming plan. So that's exciting. With our copyright program, we are also happy to celebrate this milestone of 18 countries ratifying Marrakesh Treaty, which allows use of copyright materials by visually impaired people. And we helped to draft library-friendly and user-friendly national copyright laws in 14 countries. In our public libraries program, we collaborated with 350 libraries, mainly in African countries, training public librarians. Also, we have 400 libraries introducing innovative technology services. And in 3 countries, in Ghana, Kenya, and Uganda, public libraries are part of national ICT rollout programs. And that was also important for us. That ensures sustainability of our activities. And in the end of 2019, we celebrated 20 years. And these are some of the figures that we collected. And these are the regions where we're working in now. So we have over 50 countries in Africa, Asia, and Europe, and our partner countries are the countries where we have collaboration agreement with National Library Consortia. And we also have some project countries where we implement specific projects, but we don't provide full-scale support and services in all the areas to National Library Consortia. So, for example, Eastern European countries listed here as the countries where we have open access to research results project. And Latin America are examples of our public libraries innovation support program. And everything we did was really because we have this excellent network. So in every country, in every partner country, we have a national coordinator, and then we have a number of program coordinators. So, for example, National Open Access Program Coordinator, National Copyright Coordinator, National Licensing Program Coordinator, and we have over 100 people with whom we collaborate, and I'd like to thank them for working with us. David Ball spent some time in Uganda, and he collaborated with our country coordinator there, who is a deputy university librarian at Uganda Christian University. And in Uganda and also in Kenya and Tanzania, we had projects on introducing open access policies in universities and setting up open access repositories. And that was a very rewarding experience. That's another example from Myanmar, and Tin Win Yi is our copyright librarian in Myanmar, and she helped to introduce new provisions in Myanmar Copyright Act, because they still have this old British Copyright Act from 1920s, and with this new law, which will come in force this year, Myanmar will be able to do a lot more things in the digital environment. Cécile Coulibaly is our country coordinator in Côte d'Ivoire, and we collaborated with Cécile on launching a national open access repository under the mandate of Ministry of Education, and now we're collaborating on institutional and national open access policies, and we had a series of activities during Open Access Week in October. And Dr. Imani Brick is a researcher in An-Najjar National University in Palestine, And our e-licensing program negotiated waived and discounted article processing charges for researchers in Palestine, but also in other IIFL partner countries. And that's one of the areas where our licensing program is now focusing on, to make sure that article processing charges are not barriers for researchers in our partner countries to publish in open access. And that's an example of public libraries support program where we provided ICT classes for junior high school students in Ashanti region in Ghana, because in Ghana you have to pass ICT literacy exam to move from one grade to another, and it's really hard if you don't have computer at home. So that program really helped to ensure that students got their ICT skills, and they could really pass their ICT exams and move on with their secondary school education. And we collaborated with 20 schools and 12,000 students. And we were happy to see that over 4,000 students really passed their ICT exams. And looking in the future, these are some of our goals and objectives for this year and next year and 2023, because we've just launched a new strategy, and we would like to advance fair and sustainable transition from paywalled to open access content. So we'll continue negotiation for free and affordable access to paywalled journals, because now we're getting on average 98% discount from list prices from publishers for subscription-based content. And we're also negotiating open access publishing terms and transformative agreements to make sure that there are no APCs for researchers or waived or discounted publishing agreements with waived and discounted APCs. And this open access angle is very important for us now in negotiations with publishers. And then we're also making sure that our model licenses include favorable provisions for depositing articles in institutional repositories. So unfortunately, we're still far from immediate deposit agreements, but at least we're making sure that embargo periods are short enough and researchers are allowed to deposit publisher PDFs in repositories. Our second objective is to support research, teaching and learning, and our licensing program negotiate remote access conditions for licensed research materials or ensure remote access conditions. Also support discounted access to research support services and tools, for example, plagiarism checker and other tools. And my area is enhancing open science skills and also advocating for research incentive and structures that support and promote open science skills acquisition. And open science training is an area where we collaborate in Open Air project. We coordinate open science training activities in this project, and also a network of national open access desks in Eastern Europe. In this project, we set up this informal network, which we call Community of Practice of Training Coordinators, and it's open to anyone coordinating training activities either on the institutional level or on the national level or on the research infrastructure level. And if some of you are involved in these activities and would like to be part of this network, that would be excellent, and we'll be happy to collaborate with you. So we are over 70 people, and most of the people are not really connected to OpenAir project. OpenAir is just a platform, and we just got our new co-chair, new chair, who is Helen Clare from JISC. Also, last year we supported European Open Science Cloud Skills and Training Working Group, and I was a rapporteur there, and will be releasing recommendations on open science skills set, results of interviews with open science training competence centers in Europe, recommendations on how to make training materials fair, and also recommendations on how to embed open and fair science skills in national digital skills policies. So this report is coming up in February, I hope. And we also provided some recommendations to European Open Science Cloud Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, which would be the basis for European Commission to support research and innovation activities. This year, we were also part of a new project which was supported by Sloan Foundation, and it's an attempt to coordinate global open science training activities and also see how open science training could be adjusted to COVID-19 times. And it's an open group in Force 11, and if you're interested, please join. And the last point about open science training is that we're launching a project in Ukraine on open science training in universities and also on open peer review platform for conferences that are hosted by universities. So it will be a 3-year project, and it's kicking off this month, and I'm looking forward to that. Another area where we're really very much engaged is already said, advocating for modern copyright laws to maximize access to content. But to other points, which you can see on this slide, are, I think, are really crucial now. How we as community ensure that we have open public infrastructures for sharing and publishing research, especially like in the beginning of this year when we saw so many announcements about acquisitions and mergers. It's really, I think it's really dangerous to give all academic research content in non-public institution hands. So that's an area where we'll be engaging a lot in the coming years, and also supporting open access policy work. And during Open Access Week last year, we started activities on ensuring that equity and inclusion are embedded in open science policies. And we hosted a series of webinars on open science policy developments in China, in Montenegro, in India, which are examples of countries where there are national policies that include diversity and equity provisions. And we also started looking into equity and inclusion in open science infrastructures and how they could really be community owned and governed. And last year, I was one of the causes of this call for action on fostering bibliodiversity in scholarly communication. And we took the word bibliodiversity from a call in France. And this term originated in Latin America. And in this call for action, we called funders and institutions to find ways to support open infrastructure and services, and also find models how this kind of services could be supported, for example, by library consortia and library groups. Also, we called for community governance models in open science infrastructures, and align incentives and funding with national research priorities and values. And in African context, we collaborated with research and education networks, which mainly provide connectivity on the national and regional level in Africa, and also with library consortia to come up with Open Science Africa principles and actions for global participation. And in this document, we again stressed that it's important to shift focus towards equitable, global, long-term, non-commercial, open source, if possible, scalable and sustainable transformation of scholarly publishing. And we already have a vast network of open access repositories in Africa we can build on. And in this document, we suggested some actions how to address this issue of inequality and ensure diversity and social justice. And we also advocated for Africa-led and operated open infrastructures, and also importance of indigenous traditional knowledge co-created with communities following responsible research methods, importance of local open access publishing in local languages, and also inclusivity of media and formats. And these are some of the actions that we suggested. And that basically frames our thinking and activities in Open Access Programme for the coming years, how we can ensure that research community still maintains control and ownership of publishing processes and infrastructures, and also data sharing infrastructures, and how we could support collaborative non-APC publishing models, because unfortunately APC publishing models don't really work well in the global south. And with COCO Foundation and Western Central African Research and Education Network, WACRAN, we hosted a series of brainstorming discussions how we could co-design free and open source open access publishing infrastructures catered for African needs. And we will continue this year with some platform outlines. And another example of our repository activities, a national project in Palestine, where we are supporting national repository infrastructure for publications and data sharing. And last year was really great for UNESCO open science developments, where draft open science policy recommendations were framed, and they are now being discussed by UNESCO member countries and hopefully will be adopted in November this year. And what I liked in UNESCO's approach is this emphasis on open engagement of societal actors and also openness to diversity of knowledge, because I think these are two areas that were a little bit neglected in previous open access discussions, where we mainly focused on making journal articles available in open access repositories. So now I'm glad to see that it's really broader. And also last year was successful for SCOS initiative, which stands for Global Sustainability Coalition for Open Science Services, where library consortia and research funders and ministries managed to support a number of open science infrastructures at risk. And there will be a new announcement this year, and ILIG is one of SCOS supporting organizations. And speaking about UK developments and community-led infrastructures, I think the scoping project is also very interesting and provides a lot of food for thoughts, and also some infrastructure ideas for non-APC open access publishing. And the last area in our goals and activities are public libraries services, which I already mentioned. And these are some of the activities that my colleagues will be doing in the coming years in public libraries. And we're also looking how we can better interact among academic and public libraries, because there still seems to be a large gap, and we'll try to ensure that good experiences are shared in our network. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you so much, Iryna. It's fantastic. That's great. So we should probably do it through, if you want to sort of, you can leave it as an open mic, or if you can raise your hand, then please do so. I'll stop recording now, if that's okay with everybody, just because, you know, questions are questions and they can be left till later. So just stop recording.